So welcome along to A Story to Tell with me, Richard Beauvoisin. This is mainly taken from my Radio Bath show every Thursday morning from 10 until 12. If you do like it, don't forget to subscribe, share it to others and let everyone know all about Radio Bath. Hope you enjoy it. So it's Richard Beauvoisin here until midday today. On A Story to Tell, I've got the lovely Sarah Mitchell-Rogers coming up. We're going to talk all about the fact of being a musician and a music teacher as well. Coming up right after this.
Bath and West Wiltshire's Radio Bath.
So on A Story to Tell, we've got a previous guest coming in. Now, you were previously here as part of the Moonlit Poachers. Today you are here, Sarah, all by yourself. Well, not quite by yourself. Who have you got with you, Sarah?
I've got my daughter, Amelie, with me today.
Good morning, Amelie.
Good morning.
And how are you today as well?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah? Does it feel weird being on the radio?
A bit.
A bit? Yeah, you're going to be all right. So you're part of the Moonlit Poachers. I'm assuming you still are part of the Moonlit Poachers?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, there was a hesitation there, but let's not go there. So why are you here today, Sarah? Talk us all about it.
Well, it's interesting because when you say I'm part of the Moonlit Poachers, I'm actually a freelance musician and also a music teacher. So I have many strings to my bow, if you want to coin a phrase. So I do play with a lot of people and I do it freelance. Which is an interesting position to find myself in. So the Moonlit Poachers has been the nearest I've come to actually being in a band.
Right. Okay, so you're not naturally part of a band, fully.
No.
Which is fine.
If I say the term side musician, it sounds a little bit kind of sidelining. So I like to call myself freelance. Freelance.
There's the old session musicians as well, wasn't there, back in the day? I don't know, do they still exist? I'm guessing they must.
Absolutely, yes, definitely.
And I always got the impression that session musicians were most of the time better than the actual musicians, because to get to that point, you had to be pretty damn good.
You do have to be pretty damn good. You've got to be able to read music and you've got to think on your feet really quickly. Obviously, I wouldn't want to express which were better, but you do have to be incredibly professional to be a session musician.
Yeah. So what made you want to become a musician to start with? Let's find out about you to start with.
Thank you.
Why did you become a musician?
I believe I was born a musician, and I believe some people are. It wasn't in my family at all, and I think my family were quite shocked when at the age of 3 I saw a girl playing the recorder and I just said, I want to do that. And that was it. I absolutely gave up my ballet lessons took up the violin. I started off with recorder. And then I was good at the recorder, so then they automatically gave me a violin.
I've never heard a recorder played well, ever. Or I've heard a violin played well.
That's a contentious subject. It's a beautiful instrument when it is played well.
Yeah, but most of us have heard primary school children playing it, and that's not always the most pleasant experience we've ever heard.
They say the same thing about the violin, but I would say it's how it's taught.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be that bad. It just has to be taught well.
I have tried to play the recorder myself. I play the guitar and I've tried to play the recorder, and I have to say I sound like those primary school children. It's never a good thing, but there we go.
So then I was very able at the violin and I had a very strict violin teacher, shall we say. So I progressed really fast with that. And I got involved with orchestras and my whole background was very much classical. And then I begged my parents to let me have a piano because I fell in love with the idea of playing the piano. Yeah. And that was a bit of a shock because there wasn't a lot of money at home, but the piano duly arrived and the piano lessons and then the singing lessons. And there was nothing to stop me. I was in every production, every orchestra, everything. It was my whole life.
So everything was music for you at that point.
Absolutely.
So it's very easy to have hobbies. It's very difficult to make those hobbies into your profession. So I have the pleasure of being a dance teacher. Dancing is my hobby, and I'm very lucky that people listen to what I say, and I get to teach them dancing. So I'm very fortunate. How did you become then a teacher as well?
That's a very good question. And also an actual musician, a professional musician. It's a complicated story. I'll try and cut it short.
That's all right. We've got time. You crack on. I'll just sit back and relax.
So I had to think about this because it's not an easy answer to this, but basically, obviously, I was doing extremely well classically, and it was a very classical upbringing. So I did grade 8 theory. I was on all the top grades for piano and violin in orchestras. But at the same time, I was so blessed because there was an amazing pop scene going on at the same time. And as a young person, I wasn't oblivious to this. So I had the whole of New Wave, New Romantics, thinking of some bands that I adored: Dexys Midnight Runners, Adam the Ants, Duran Duran, The Corgis, and of course Tears for Fears.
Okay, Tears for Fears.
I fell in love with pop music.
Wow.
And I just really wanted to be a pop star. But the problem was that this was all pre-internet. And to me, it was just an impossible dream. They were up here, I was down there, and I just didn't know how to get to where I wanted to be. So at the time, I just parked my dream for a while and got on with some other things.
So you became a normal person at that point?
Not that normal. I was a drama student.
Okay. I'm a tree. Do you know, that's my memory of doing drama in school, is we all had to stand around and be a tree and then the leaves would blow. And it kind of put me off drama, I think, for life.
You do make a good tree, actually,
Do I?
Richard.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've literally been trained for it, as you heard me say there. So yeah, I am a great tree. I'm putting that on my CV. I really am. So next time I have to write a CV, I am a great tree.
So I went off and did a drama course. I even dabbled a bit with radio.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How did you find that?
Radio drama. So I fell in love with radio drama. I wanted to work in production for the BBC. And I did actually spend some time at Christchurch with Radio 4 drama. And I also did a postgraduate diploma in Goldsmiths. And my lecturers were the only independent radio drama producers in the country.
Wow.
And I used to tech for them. So I used to be their sound engineers.
So you loved this side of the desk then?
I did.
Yeah, you did. I like that.
It's getting more and more complicated nowadays.
This is a very old desk. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah. So I was very interested in sound engineering, and that's what I wanted to be.
Okay.
So fast forward, how on earth did I get into actually performing in bands? Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I think it's a combination of what you know, but also who you know. And I was very fortunate because I did start off in a couple of covers bands, but it was with very seasoned musicians. So I think the first band I got into, the first thing I did was I was on the back of a rock choir, actually, the back row of a rock choir. And I travelled from Bath to Salisbury every single week to kind of stand on the back of the rock choir. Then I went from the rock choir to a prog rock band called No. It was a spoof prog rock band, and I got all my, we did Dark Side of the Moon. I got all my rock choir in to help do backing vocals. So I did that. And then my big break came when I joined a Beach Boys tribute band called Surf's Up. And that was brilliant. We did perfect 5-part harmonies, very true to the Beach Boys, but just with a couple of female vocals. And that was when I was lucky enough to get spotted by James Warren.
Right.
Of the Corgis and Stackridge, and he wanted to do some original work, and I got involved with that. So he just, because he's a big fan of the Beach Boys, and he just thought, he came to a festival that we were playing at, saw us, and said, I'd like to have some of those people working with me.
Amazing.
So that was really how I went up a notch, I suppose.
Now, Amelie, have you heard these stories before? Not really. So what's it like hearing your mum talking about her life? Because I have children myself, and sometimes I kind of regale my stories and they're like, I've never heard any of this before.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
I like that. Quite interesting. You've got the quite interesting. That's not bad.
So interesting enough, even when I had Amelie, obviously becoming a mum was a big thing, but I carried on working as a musician. I was even... Amelie's first gig was supporting Fairport Convention on stage. I was pregnant. So she's actually grown up coming to my gigs and being incredibly supportive, having a crazy musician mum.
So, Amelie, you think that what your mum does is normal then?
Yeah.
And it is normal for you, isn't it? It's a bit like me being on stage teaching dancing. For my daughter and sons, that's completely normal.
It's life.
Yeah, it is life. So you became a musician, effectively. What then took you down the teaching route as well?
Okay, so basically I was always going to be a teacher because people told me when I was 10 I was going to be a music teacher.
Right.
But I'm quite a stubborn soul. And so that meant that I was not going to be a music teacher. I was going to be a musician. I was really sure of that. And the reason I got into the music teaching was that people would literally come up to me at gigs and say, I want to do what you're doing. Can you teach me? So initially, I'd probably say no. But after a while, I met some people who I really felt I could help. And it really started from there. And it's snowballed because I've gone from 1 or 2 people accosting me at gigs to 24 students and a waiting list of 8.
Wowzers.
And I've not, everybody's asked me. So I must be doing something right.
You must be doing something right. Well, we're going to find out in greater detail what you're doing right after this.
Across Bath, Bradford-on-Avon and Trowbridge, this is Radio Bath.
Back for part 2 then with the lovely Sarah Mitchell-Rogers, or as I like to call her, SMR.
Oh, yeah, I like that too.
Do you ever get called SMR?
By my husband, Dan, yes.
Okay, the lovely Dan. Let's talk about Dan very quickly then. Okay, so Dan, also previous guest on here. Yeah. Why have you gone quiet? You're just not quite sure what to say now, are you? Thinking, if I big him up too much, he's going to go one way. If I don't say anything, he's going to go another.
He's wonderful.
Oh,
that's all
nice.
I can say.
That's such a long pause though, between the question and the answer. That's all I'm going to say at that point. So. We're going to carry on now, just talking about your teaching. Okay, so you ended up being a teacher. You've got 24 current pupils, 8 people on the waiting list.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. How do you find teaching then, comparing to playing?
I've fallen in love with teaching. I really have. It was a big surprise for me because I did it because I got kind of talked into it. But I absolutely love it. What I love is I love passing on what I've learnt. And actually, as you probably know, I play a lot of instruments.
You do? I was going to talk about that shortly.
Yeah,
So.
well, we'll go on to that. But the point is the way that I teach is I cross-fertilise between the instruments. So things that I've learnt on piano, I might pass on to the violin to piano, so it all kind of becomes a real musical education. The other thing that I really try to do is I teach everybody music theory. So everybody I teach becomes a musician, knowing music very thoroughly. But the other thing I try and do is try to be fun. Because I do believe you learn best when you're having a laugh.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's always been my policy. Now, I did music at school as GCSE. I did, and I managed to get a B.
Oh, well done, that's
I know.
good.
Well, I actually got an A for all of my work, but then I didn't really study for the theory part of it. And so I got a C for that part and therefore an overall B. But I couldn't, and I still can't, read music. So I managed to get GCSE music without being able to read music. Because I was singing and playing guitar and piano. So
obviously very well, though.
I wrote songs pretty well. I would suggest my guitar playing and my piano playing definitely is very average. And my singing is just also average. So, but I am just about to start having some singing lessons, which I'm quite pleased about.
Nice.
So yeah, I've always been okay at singing, but I know technically I'm terrible.
Okay. Yeah. So I've taught singing as well. Yeah, and I just think that the most important thing is to not only play the instrument, but learn to read the music so that you understand what you're doing while you're playing it.
Yeah, well, guitar's easy because you just look at the chords as I'm playing those. So that's easy enough for me, and I can then follow it along. That's the level I'm at, but there we go.
I'm giving you a kind look.
You are giving me that kind look. I use that. Do you know what my look is when I give that look? That look is I say, you're still under development. And that's the phrase that I use. Yes. They say, how's it doing? I'm like, it's under development. Yes. And that's that same kind of look you've given me. Now, you did mention about loads of instruments that you play. Mm-hmm. Can you first of all run through all of the instruments that you play? And then secondly, and this is going to be the tricky question for you, tell me which is your favourite and why.
I'm going to give you a list of instruments that I've been paid to play because they're quite interesting.
Go on then.
Obviously, violin.
Yeah.
Keyboards. Acme siren whistle.
Bless you. Whatever that is.
Sacred. What else? Triangle, bass guitar, ukulele.
I'm loving the fact that triangle came before bass guitar. Now, triangle for me is the instrument that's given to the person that can't do music in any way, shape or form, and just has to ding it once in a whole production, and they still get it out of time. So why did triangle come in front
Actually,
of
I've
bass guitar?
forgotten the tambourine as well.
Oh, the
Tambourine's got quite a skill to it.
Oh, tambourine,
actually.
I accept there's skill to
My
tambourine.
husband Dan, I shall mention him again. He's
Wonderful man.
Obviously a wonderful drummer, but also knows a lot about percussion. He will say that tambourine is really quite a skilled instrument. So.
And I concur with that. Triangle,
There's
jury's out.
some orchestral triangle players would probably beg to differ.
I wonder if, somebody says, I'm part of an orchestra. What instrument do you play? The triangle. If that is really at the top of their list. Not the trumpet or cello or anything like that, but no, the triangle. I ding it once in a performance. Anyway, moving on. So these are the instruments you're playing.
Yeah.
Any more?
What else? I can work my way around a guitar.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Most
Okay.
things with strings, to be honest.
Okay. And which of those would be your favourite to play then? And why?
Okay, so that's an interesting one. Obviously, my two principal instruments are violin and piano, and I love them for different reasons. The piano is the one that I get lost in, and I'll make a confession here, live on radio. I once forgot to pick Emily up from school because I was in a piano haze, and the school phoned me up and they said, "Are you going to pick your daughter up today?" And I was like, I've just been practicing the piano. I totally forgot what time it was.
Emily,
'Cause
do you remember
that's what the piano
this?
does to you.
I think I do. I remember sometimes.
But the
that
problem is the
happened.
piano kind of gets you into a sort of parallel universe where you sort of forget what time it is, and suddenly 2 hours have gone and you're still playing the piano.
It's a nice place to be.
The violin is a bit more like, yeah, I'm playing the violin.
Yeah.
This is great. When it really works, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work. It's really a lot of discipline. It's quite hard work. And I have a real soft spot for the bass guitar. I'm going to give it a shout
I
out.
was going to say, when you came in here, so, behind the scenes, when you came in here, we had a problem with the lighting, didn't we?
Oh, I was going to say, this
Yeah.
time we're seeing the light.
We've actually got light.
And the
So
last time we were literally in the dark.
we
weren't
had our torches via our phones, and that was the only thing that was lighting the studio up. But what my memory is you standing there playing the bass guitar. Look, most bass guitarists stand there looking grumpy and not moving, but you were there, light of the show. You really were. You literally, even though it was darkness, you lit up the room. And that sounds quite cheesy,
that's
but
a
it was
lovely thing to
amazing.
say.
It was amazing to watch, and you just again seemed to lose yourself when you were playing, and it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, so I only play bass guitar because I got handed a bass guitar and told, here, you can play it. But when I really tried to fathom it out, I realised it's a back-to-front violin. So
Okay.
it's got the same strings as a violin, but the other way round.
And a bit lower.
And a bit lower.
Yeah.
But it's still a scale instrument. The interesting thing with the bass guitar, from my point of view, unlike the violin, is that I look for the patterns. So, I love writing a bass line. I love bass lines in general. I think it's a wonderful thing.
So what is your creative process then? How do you kind of write all your music that you do?
Well, so I've done all kinds of different things, but I suppose it all boils back to the fact that I suppose I did grade 8 theory and A-level music in the same year, and I love harmony. I mean, that harmony singing, playing harmonies, right harmonies is really what I'm all about. And obviously I've been trained to do that to quite a high level. So I've often been asked as a backing vocalist to add the awkward extra harmony that nobody else can ever find. And I know this sounds strange, but I can do it naturally. It just pops into my head. I can, and I do use music theory in order to do that. I think, right, what's the missing one? And then I find it.
Yeah.
But actually, I was really honoured and flattered because recently I worked with a local musician called Kim Green on his project Now Voyagers, and he asked me to actually write all the violin parts for several of his tracks on one of his albums that I was working on. And so I actually did some arranging, and it was very sort of Beatles type string arrangements.
Okay.
And that was right up my street, really something that I wanted to do.
Well, we're going to listen to lots of your tracks later. For those that aren't aware, which will be all of you because we haven't said it's going to happen, we're going to have a little listen to a number of different tracks that you've worked on as a couple of hours goes on. So, which will be fascinating to hear, and the stories behind them as well. We're going to give a little shout out to what's happening around this local area, though. So festivals, talk to me about festivals first of all.
Well, we're hot off the press, the Moonlit Poachers, from playing a wonderful local festival called Tangled Roots. It was a lovely surprise. I've never been to it. I rocked up and didn't know what it was going to be like, but my goodness, it was amazing. It was full of original music. Obviously the roots part is folk music. They also have a jazz and a blues section, which is separate, I do believe, but we did the folk section. But it was full of amazingly high level musicians playing original music, and we just had an most amazing time.
Brilliant. And local bands as well around this whole area of Bath as well.
Yeah. So what I was going to say was obviously I've been a few covers bands, who hasn't, but most of my work has been working on original songwriting with the songwriters. And in the past, it hasn't been an easy sell, to be honest. But I'm noticing that things seem to be changing a little bit recently. And instead of having to put in the obligatory covers song, people are actually listening to whole gigs of original music. So
right.
The Moonlit Poachers, we just do all our original songs, and people love it. So I don't think people should have to apologise for doing a whole set of their own original music. And I'm noticing that there's a really nice scene growing up around Bath at the moment, with a lot of local venues who are supporting fully original songwriters and performers. So you've got places like the Grapes, the Electric Bar, Chapel Arts Centre, the New Inn, the Royal Oak, the Bell, and they're all giving new music and new songwriters a chance to show what they're doing and what they're working on, and open this up to the general public. And I was going to say, it's good sometimes. It's great to have, really large names that you might want to go and support, but maybe from time to time, take a risk, go and see something, a local name that you might not have heard of, because you might be surprised.
One of my favourite nights that I've had in the last couple of years is actually going to the Trowbridge Pump. And
I used to play that.
Love the Trowbridge Pump, okay, or the Pump in Trowbridge, I should say.
Yeah.
And I saw 3 acts on there. One of them I knew, which is why I was going. The other 2 acts that are on there have both been on my radio show. One of the acts that's on there is now a really good friend of mine.
Oh, great.
And yeah, it's just, I took that risk. I didn't know any of their music. I now love their music.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. So it's definitely well worth taking that risk. If people want to get hold of you, how could they do that, Sarah?
Probably the easiest way to get hold of me is through my Facebook page, which is Sarah Mitchell-Rogers Music.
Okay, Sarah Mitchell-Rogers Music on Facebook.
That's a lovely picture of me playing my violin. I am also on Instagram as well, so you can find me on Instagram as well.
Fabulous. Well, we're going to find out lots more about Sarah when we come back right after this.
Across Bath, Chippenham and Melksham, this is Radio Bath.
Back for the next part now with the lovely Sarah Mitchell-Rogers. She's here all morning. We're now going to start talking about your music that you've been playing. So we're going to start with James Warren and Friends.
Yes.
Who is James Warren and Friends, Sarah?
Well, I'm one of his friends, I like to think. So this was my first big break, and James Warren obviously is part of the Corgis and also Stackridge, 2 really big band names. But also he does his own individual solo work. And so I was lucky enough that he spotted me and a couple of other people, Tony Barbie and Louise Anderson, who were in our Beach Boys band and wanted to work with us. And so this was my first really professional experience of recording in Glenn Tommy's garage studio.
Right.
So a lot of the time, these things sound very glamorous, but they're often these studios in basements or garages, and they come up with beautiful results. And so we recorded Jim's Easy Listening album in Glenn's garage studio.
Okay.
And I was so proud to be part of it. And so this song, The First Kiss, went on the radio, and it was the first time I'd heard my voice on the radio, which
How
was
that for you then?
Oh, it's so exciting. At the time I was working in graphic design in Bath, and I just put the radio on and there was my voice. It was
So you didn't know it was coming up then?
I did.
Oh, you did know it's coming.
I put it on especially.
You didn't just randomly go, I'm just going to play this radio station.
That would have been really cool, wouldn't it?
That would have been great. Yeah, but not on this occasion.
Yeah. But it was a wonderful thing to hear yourself, broadcast for the first time is an exciting thing.
Yeah. And how was the kind of whole experience of recording in that garage? Was it what you hoped it would be?
Yeah, it was exciting, really exciting. And to actually see the process, because, I don't know what knowledge you have knowledge of recording, but it's obviously done in a very kind of bit by bit process. So you lay down the drum tracks and then the bass, and then I suppose we were doing backing vocals, so that's sort of the icing on the cake that comes last. But it's a very kind of layered process, which is really exciting to hear.
Yeah, it's the cut and paste.
It is.
It's wonderful. Right, would you like to introduce it then?
So this is from Jim's Easy Listening album, and it's a lovely track called The First Kiss.
Here on Radio Bath.
Seeing you there, walking beside me, well, I must have done something right. The sun on your hair, the feeling inside me when you smile and hold me tight. Every day I long to stay in anticipation of the sweet sensation of the first kiss. Couldn't believe you wanted to see me when I called you on Saturday night. All you guys just wouldn't believe me, but they'll never know wrong from right. Now it's clear when you're near. I get anticipation and the sweet sensation of the first kiss. If you should ever change your mind, I couldn't face each day. Don't wanna live without you. If you should ever change your mind, I couldn't face each day. Don't wanna live without you. Seeing you there, walking beside me, well, I must have done something right. The sun on your head, the feeling inside me when you smile and hold me tight. Every day I long to stay in anticipation of the sweet sensation of the first kiss. Anticipation of the first kiss. Every day it's the first kiss. Every day like the first kiss.
Made locally in Bath. This is Radio Bath.
England was greener then, and brisk the Bobby walking on his beat. Angels around the bed, with evening shadows fading into morning. We line the roads and toss our cares with a mirroring chain and spats, waiting for you, waiting for you, and England to return. England was brighter then, and love was nothing more than holding hands. Walk to the garden gate, we'd laugh and chase each other through the meadows. The village green, the corner shop, the old red bus that wouldn't stop, waiting for you, waiting for you, and England to return. And if I walk away tomorrow, another sunny day will follow. One fine day, I'll be there, waiting for you, waiting for you. We line the walls and drop our gaze, observe the passing of an age, waiting for you, waiting for you, and England to return. Nothing to do, waiting for you, and England to return.
Time for the next track now from the lovely Sarah Mitchell-Rogers. This is your Stackridge time. So we've just heard the track Waiting for You and England to Return. Tell us about that track then first.
Well, so basically I was very lucky to transition from James Warren and Friends, who I was gigging with at the time, to Stackridge, which was a reformation of the 1970s band. And in fact, Stackridge played the first song of the first ever Glastonbury Festival.
Really?
So they have a real following. So that was a massive step up for me. And I toured with Stackridge for 4 years, both nationally and internationally.
Okay.
So that was wonderful. And I was lucky enough to feature on 2 albums that they did. And this particular album with Waiting for You and England to Return on it was a victory for common sense. And I actually, so this time it was recorded in Chris Merrick Hughes's mansion recording studio.
Slightly different than the garage.
Chris Merrick Hughes was a member of Adam the Ants.
Okay.
So for me, having been a massive Adam the Ants fan, this was kind of meeting a hero, and I was blown away. And I got to play the violin solo in the middle. So for me, it was living the dream.
Absolutely. Was it really cheesy? Was he charming? Was he a prince?
Of course he was charming. Yeah, we're still friends on Facebook, and he's a lovely guy.
Ah,
yeah,
that's nice to
really
hear.
charming.
It's sometimes that difficult thing, meeting your heroes, isn't it?
Yeah.
About whether they are actually the person that you see or want to see. But he's a lovely guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. You also performed on the album The Forbidden City, didn't you?
So we got it slightly back to front because The Forbidden City was the first thing that I did with Stackridge. And I was petrified because I'd had a break from the violin. I took it up again. I gave up my job. I practiced 5 hours a day to be in Stackridge.
Right.
And the first gig we did was for national DVD release. So you can imagine it was full on pressure. So I worked really hard to actually, to be up to scratch for that band, and I absolutely loved it. In the end, we actually even went to Hollywood to play on the Late Late Show. So Amazing. We did everything. I really lived the dream. I played Glastonbury twice in one day. I played at a wonderful festival called Cropredy, which is Fairport Conventions Festival, 20,000 people, and we really lived the dream. And I loved every second I played with Stackridge. I loved.
So how does it feel being in front of that many people then?
Do you know, it gets to the point where it almost glosses over you. I must admit, I was so excited about meeting Fairport Convention, and they carried my gear on stage, and and they are also lovely guys. Yeah. I'm quite good friends with them, and I was so blown away by the whole thing. You just get up and do what you do. Yeah. Sometimes playing to a tiny audience can be quite nerve-wracking when they're right in front of you. It's a very personal experience.
When you can see the whites of their eyes rather than them being a little bit distant.
And when it's 20,000, it's just a wall of people, and you just think, wow.
Now, I always find when I'm on stage, if I've got people close to me, I find it personally easier because I can connect to them a little bit more. When I have big classes, which we do sometimes at weekend events and stuff, I find that much harder because they all become one and you don't see them as much. So I prefer the smaller, intimate gigs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Well, I think the hardest gig I've ever done was on a theatre stage to darkness. They blacked out the audience, and that was strange because literally I was just playing to complete blackness. It's rather like I was last time I was here, actually.
Apart from you have me seeing you. Yeah. I had a very similar effect in regards to back in the day at Bradford-on-Avon, at St Margaret's Hall, before it got refurbished. They used to have a big wooden stage there. And then it all got knocked down. Not the venue, the staging did. And I thought it would be, they didn't have any stage lights. So what I had is I had the old par cans, the old par 56s, which are an incredible fire hazard, as I found out. And I used to line a load of them up in front of the stage and shine them up at me. Now, normally par cans, they would shine down on you, and you have to kind of do the pirate thing to try and see anybody else. But these were shining up. So if I went back from it, literally there was a fog in front of me and I could see absolutely nothing. I did that for 2 weeks. But I hated teaching it like that.
Yeah, it's a very strange experience, isn't it?
It was very bizarre. So yeah, like in theatres, they close the audience down.
Because as a musician, you do kind of look out and you think, oh, that person looks like they're really enjoying it. And you kind of gauge the audience.
Yeah, you get that feedback, don't you? And that's really, really important. Now, tell us about the track we're going to listen to from the Forbidden City album then.
Well, I just thought we'd have a bit of fun with this one.
Okay.
It's a track called Do the Stanley, which is just... Stackridge was so much fun, and a lot of their songs have got wonderful lyrics and a wonderful sense of fun. And we had just a blast on stage every single time. And it was just evocative of the fun we had as a band.
And what were you doing on this track?
I was playing violin, alongside my other violin friend, Rachel Hall.
Amazing. Here on Radio Bath, it's Do the Stanley.
Here comes a new craze, it's bound to amaze. Oh, the children awake to star. It's easy to do, listen to this. The shake was an old-time fun. When all said and done, the Stanleys have won. The note is heading for the top. Get ready. Here we go. Everybody's dancing, keep it in the family. I like to do the Stanley too. Well, I did. Come on and Stanley, get out to Francie. I like to do the old one too. Oh, everybody's dancing, keep it in the family. I like to do the Stanley too. Oh, well done. Come on and Stanley, get out to Francie. I like to do the old one too. The Stanley for me and you.
Made locally in Bath. This is Radio Bath. Radio Bath.
Time for the next section then with the lovely Sarah Mitchell Rogers. I'm going to say it differently every time if I can.
Oh,
We're going
nice.
to talk about Barry Walsh now. First of all, I've never heard of Baz. Tell us who Barry Walsh is, please, Sarah.
After I parted ways with Stackridge, I was looking for something else to do. And literally the day after I parted ways with Stackridge, the manager said to me, I have a local singer-songwriter who's looking for a violinist, and he's called Barry Walsh. Would you like to play with him? And I thought to myself, he's going to have to be good.
Yeah, following Stackridge.
Yeah. And I listened to him, and he was. And I really liked what he did. And so basically I came along for a few rehearsals, and I became his principal violinist. And everything went from there. Now, Barry Walsh and we've worked together for 12 years. We're not working together now, but we did work together for 12 years. And we've gone through thick and thin. We've played on a lot of boats. I'm going to tell you that for a start. It seems like most of our gigs were on a boat.
Why boats?
I don't honestly know, but he became an advocate of Bristol. May I say Bristol?
You
Am I
may
allowed
say
to
Bristol.
here.
You can say that. It's not a banned word.
And wonderful Bristol landmarks and things like that. So we wrote songs about the Downs. We wrote a song about the SS Great Britain. We wrote a song about the Matthew. We did a lot about Bristol landmarks, and so a lot of that involved boats, I guess.
Now, I'm just trying to imagine the scenario. So I've seen you playing the violin, okay, and for the benefit of the radio, I'm going to mimic now playing a violin very, very badly.
I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you very much. I'm now feeling massively... Don't come round, Emily, and look and see how badly I'm going to do this. That's an outrageous thing to do. Okay, so here I am playing the violin, and I'm going from side to side like this. Now I'm imagining being on a boat, which is also rocking you from side to side, and you're trying to play the violin. That's got to be fairly challenging, surely. Big wave and you're playing the wrong notes.
I have sea legs. I love a boat. I love all boats.
Okay.
I love boats, yeah. And that was a highlight for me, was playing on boats. I was very happy doing that. So Barry really became quite renowned within the Bristol area, for writing songs about Bristol.
Brilliant. Now, what's the track we're going to hear now, then?
We're going to hear a track called Bring Her Home.
What's that about?
Well, so we'd just written the song, and we were on Points West, actually. And we were on a boat, another boat.
What a surprise.
being blown to pieces. If you ever see the interview, my hair is all over the place, getting blown to pieces. But look, amazingly, the song is actually about the SS Great Britain. And amazingly, on this little boat being interviewed by Points West was the manager of the SS Great Britain.
Right.
And we played the song it was a very chilly rendition. And he said, would you like to have the SS Great Britain one morning to actually do a video on it? And we said, yes, absolutely, we would. And we spent a fantastic morning shooting the video on the SS Great Britain.
Which I'm guessing is still available to watch.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. So if you want to have a look at that, have a look at Bring Her Home.
Yes.
And it's good old Barry Walsh.
And me doing a sort of sea shanty violin part.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we can listen to it right now here on Radio Bath. Here's Barry Walsh and Bring Her Home.
The 26th of July, 1845, Captain James Huskin set sail from Merseyside. The ship SS Great Britain, the pride of Bristol town, the longest for a steamship, and she was New York bound. Bring her home, bring her home, bring her home, my boys, bring her home. Within a year of sailing, just off the Irish coast, she ran aground at Dunkirk Bay, and what they feared the most, the company was broken, too much money was the cost. The Liverpool to New York run was put down at a loss. Bring her home, bring her home, bring her home, my boys, bring her home. In 1852, she was sold and sailed again, this time to Australia with gold prospecting men. She sailed the line for 30 years, the southern winds would blow. 3 new masts, a booster sail to see how fast she'd go. Bring her home, bring her home, bring her home, my boys, bring her home. Bring her home, bring her home, bring her home, my boys, bring her home. Retired to a cargo ship, damaged in a storm, spending years a warehouse, her Falkland page was born. It's Sparrow's Cove in 37, a fighter in a brawl, left to lie in rusty mud, she waited for the call. Bring her home, bring her home, bring her home, my boys, bring her home. Good old Jack Hayward, a Bristol boy at heart, counted out his money for rescue works to start. 8,000 miles and the days were counting down, returning to the Avon and the cheer of Bristol town. Bring her home, bring her home, bring her home, my boys, bring her home.
This is Radio Bath.
Back with Sarah Mitchell-Rogers again. Again, I've just got to do it in a really different voice. Sarah Mitchell-Rogers.
Oh, that's good.
Do you like that one?
I do. That's my favourite
Is it
so
your
far.
favourite? Okay.
Can you do that again?
Sarah Mitchell Rogers. I think I did it differently then. I'm so disappointed in myself. Let myself down, my country down. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We're now going to do the next artist that you performed with, which is Kim Green. Tell us about Kim.
So Kim was with me a long time ago in my Beach Boys tribute band, Surf's Up. And so got to know him then. And I think he was friends with James Warren. So I think it was due to Kim Green that James Warren came along to that festival, spotted us. So, but then hadn't really seen Kim for a long time. And then he got in touch and said, I'm in a position where I've written songs over the years and I want to work on an album of my work. I'd really like to get you involved. And in my world, the answer is always yes. And so I said, absolutely, yes, I'd love to. He sent some tracks across and I loved it. I absolutely loved what he was doing. And I think he called the band Now Voyagers. So you can find it on Spotify. But what I got to do with this album was I actually got to arrange violin parts. Okay. So I did it for this one track, but then he asked me to do it for most of the album. And I was in my element because another band that I love is the Beatles. And I was writing all those beautiful George Martin-esque Beatles string parts and arranging and using my musical knowledge to do that. Some of which I was just winging it and doing it on the spot. But it was wonderful and I had so much fun and then Kim asked me to do some vocals on it as well, which was lovely. So I'm really proud of all my violin playing on this particular track and the string arrangements and the singing. And you arranged it all. I did. Oh, isn't that nice? What's the name of this track then? This is not Bedford Falls. So where is Bedford Falls then? You don't know? Okay. Okay, so it's something that... Kim in. Yeah, I have to have Kim in then. Do you know what? I'm glad you said it was a he, because to start with I thought it was a she. No. So I was very confused. I had to redo all of my brain process throughout the whole of that chat then. I really did. But Kim is a man, and he knows where Bedford Falls is. He totally does, and he could tell you the stories. Amazing. Well, we're going to listen to it right now here on Radio Bath.
Sun slips down easy, wagons roll west. At long last our journey's begun. We pray hard this evening, we never forget our promise to make good our plans. To work hard and prosper in hopes yet to find a place where we can stand tall. Where times may be hard, but they always come right, just like in Bedford Falls. Too many years in this city's stone heart, no lemon drop troubles have we. No guardian angel to call us back down. Zuzu's petals are gone. Where is the library? The Disney girl smiles. Why is there pain on the face of the child? Looking around me, I am forced to surmise this is not Bedford Falls.
Dearest Cassandra, it's Christmas time here. You told how all stories end. Look out your window, the world is on fire.
Well, here's to all absent friends.
Our thanks to Saint Christopher for wind at our backs. Now comes good sailing at last. While ignorant armies clash by night, here we come, Bedford
Time for the last track then, and this is how I knew you originally, Sarah Mitchell Rogers. Again, just another weird way of saying it. I'm sounding more creepy by the second, though. That is the downside to it. So the Moonlit Poachers.
Yeah.
Tell us who the Moonlit Poachers are then.
Well, so I seem to be getting smaller and smaller in my bands because the Moonlit Poachers is just two of us.
Oh, okay.
Me and Paul Macbeth. So we've boiled down to two. There were three. There was Frank as well. So what happened was, actually, while I was working with Kim and arranging his strings, I was also asked by Paul, would I help him finish his album, Carnival End, it's now called. And I said yes, obviously, because the answer is always yes.
Always.
So I was actually working on two albums at the same time, and they were all completely new songs.
Wow.
So that was a lot of work, and it was running up to Christmas. And my little thing is I always get slightly ill before Christmas, so I was ill as well. So it was a wonderful combination.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, so I got involved with working with Paul. We did the album. For the first time, I was playing bass professionally. Because literally I was meant to be singing on the album. Then he said, you play the violin? Can you play some violin? So, yes. But then he came to rehearsal, spotted the bass in the corner of my room and said, do you play bass? And I sort of said, kind of. And then now I'm a bass guitarist.
Add that to your CV.
Yep. So I did all the bass playing on the album, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah. No, I loved it when you guys came in. Yeah. Genuinely loved the tracks, the energy that you guys had as well. The connection you had between the two of you, I thought was brilliant as well. I've been doing this a long time, and I remember that session incredibly well and incredibly fondly as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll come back in and do another live lounge at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be lovely. So what song are we going to hear from the Moonlit Poachers then?
So this is one of my personal favourites, and it's a track called Someday Soon.
Fabulous. Here on Radio Bath, Someday Soon.
Someday soon that rain is gonna fall. Fall on the great, fall on the small. Wash away everything into the sea. Wash away you, wash away me. And I wonder why. And I watch the sky fall sands it has cool. Fall sands it has cool.
Someday soon that wind is gonna blow. Blow on the fast, blow on the slow. Blow away everything into the sea. It'll blow away you, blow away me. And I wonder why. And I
False signs in your eyes. Yeah. Someday soon that sun is gonna burn. Burn the chosen, burn the spurned. Burn away everything into the sea. Burn away you, burn away me. And I wonder why. And I watch the sky fall signs it high. Fall signs it high. Yeah. And I wonder why. And I watch the sky fall signs it high. Cool. Fall signs it high. Hey, hey, cool.
Time for the last bit, not just with Sarah, but Amelie is on microphone too. Good morning, Amelie.
Good morning.
There you go. Now, how are you both feeling about doing the quick fire round then?
I'm kind of dreading it.
Well, you did it before, didn't you, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay, so you've already had what's your favourite ice cream?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Amelie, what is your favourite ice cream? This isn't one of the questions, but
I really like cookies and cream ice cream.
cookies and cream's a good choice. I haven't had cookies and cream ice cream for ages. So, I like to change it up. For the guests that have come on twice, we have a different set of questions. And because the first question that we have in the first set is, what is your favourite ice cream? We outsource, we say that's what it is. Okay, so I thought I'd really change it up. Okay, so, Sarah, what's your favourite flavour of crisps?
Ooh, now, I'm permanently on a diet, as
Yeah,
you
yeah.
probably know, so crisps aren't a large factor in my life. But were I to, I'd like a classic salt and vinegar.
Oh, salt and vinegar. Now, did you know that there has been tests about which is the best salt and vinegar crisps?
Okay.
Blind tests. They just put them in bowls. And do you know who came out best?
No.
Believe it or not, Co-op.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
Co-op salt and vinegar crisps
Wow.
are the best salt and vinegar
I feel
crisps.
obliged
apparently.
to try some now.
Followed by Asda. Yeah, none of the posh makes, none of the Tyrrells or McCoys, nothing like that. Co-op salt and vinegar crisps.
Wow.
There you go. Amelie, what about yourself?
Oh, that's hard.
This is the easy one if it makes you feel any better.
It's either cheese and onion or prawn cocktail.
Oh, both good choices. Just bad on the breath afterwards. Right, Amelie, you're first on this part. Okay. Do you leave things at the bottom of the stairs to take up later?
Sometimes. It kind of depends what it is, really. If it's like something that's really important, I have to take it up. Then not usually, but if it's like that can wait until later, I would just like put it on the stairs
put it
until
on there.
later.
What about yourself, Sarah?
Well, I'd like to say we have a system
Right.
which does involve the bottom of the stairs, and then when we go upstairs, we take it with us.
Of course, that's the absolute
Organised.
system that you have created, haven't you?
Yes.
I can tell this. And does the rest of the family follow this system?
Of course they do.
Of course they do. And do you get irritated when they don't follow the system?
Always.
Always, yes. That's why this is in here. So we did during COVID, we did a number of Q&As, my wife and myself. And part of this is that my wife loves leaving things at the bottom of the stairs for me to take up later. And then when I don't do it, because I don't agree with the system, because I believe it's a trip hazard, she then gets really annoyed. Like, why don't you take it upstairs?
You get into trouble.
Yeah, so that's why it's there. There we go. Right, next part for yourself, Sarah. What is your favourite season of the year and why?
Now, that's tricky because I love every season. I like to think...
You've got to choose one.
Do I really have to know my colour?
This
All right, no, I'm going to go for this.
Go on then.
Spring is my favourite season,
Why?
and that's when Dan and I got married in the springtime. There you go. Dan would love me to mention him and be a bit romantic. And it's lovely because it feels like everything's waking up.
It is.
Isn't it? I love my garden, and it feels like the flowers are coming out, and that's why we chose to get married in the spring.
Very good choice. Amelie, what about yourself?
Well, I really like autumn because it's in the mix. It's not really freezing cold, so it's not winter, but it doesn't have a lot of like wasps and stuff. So it's like
so it's summer
like
without
great
the
season.
wasps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I like that answer. Right then, Amelie, you're next on this, okay? Is pineapple on a pizza mamma mia or just simply wrong?
Well, I think the only exception is if it's ham and pineapple. Anything else, it does not work.
Okay, so you're
But
a
I
fan of
think
ham and pineapple then?
Yeah.
You're okay with that? Where I think your mum's got a different answer.
My cousin, the lovely Ginny, is Italian, and she would definitely be shaking her head. No, definitely wrong.
You're just wrong.
Yeah.
Wow, I love pineapple on a pizza. It's great. Right, Sarah, if you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
That's a good question. I love where I live. That's the problem. I love East Harptree and all the people who live there. I've been there for 22 years. I'd go to East Harptree because it's just a fab place to be.
Well, do you know that's an original answer? Nobody's done that answer yet, so love that.
And not only that, I'll add to that, we've just bought our pub.
Okay.
It's going to be run by the community.
Oh, amazing.
So it's such a wonderful place to be in East Harptree. And it's not open yet, but soon our pub will be open with a new landlady, and owned by the community.
I've never heard of that, but I think it's a fantastic thing. It's always been my dream, and I've never had this dream come to reality, to walk into my local pub and say, the usual, please.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to do that because I've never kind of been local to a pub that I go to regularly. So there we go. Amelie, what about yourself? You could travel anywhere.
Well, that's been a question that I've been thinking about for quite a while. But I'd say if I had to narrow it down to one place, I'd definitely go to Japan.
Oh, why Japan then?
Well, it's always been a dream of mine to go somewhere like that. And I just really liked, the culture, the food, and all. It's just an amazing place. I'd love to go there.
I think it's a great answer. My wife spent a year in Japan. She studied Japanese and spoke Japanese. She doesn't do it very much anymore. And she says, yes, it is an incredible place to be. So,
we're
do try and get
keen on
out there.
languages, Amelie and I. And Amelie's learning lots of different languages.
Oh, what languages are you learning then, Amelie?
Well, right now, I'm learning Latin on Duolingo.
Okay, good old Duolingo. How many days?
30 so far.
Okay, pretty good.
But I have learnt various different languages.
Spanish in school?
Before. Yep, Spanish, and I'm going into French in school as well.
Very good indeed. Now, I do have a French surname, but that's as far as my French goes. It really is. Had a week in France recently, and yeah, it was challenging. Moving on swiftly. Sarah, if you could... is it Sarah first? I've lost track now.
I don't know.
Let's go with that. Anyway. Okay, Sarah, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
That's a good question. Am I allowed to travel back into the past?
You can go wherever you want.
I'd love to travel into the past.
Okay. So time travel.
Time travel. Now that fits very well. I think you know that I'm a very big Doctor Who fan, so that kind of fits in with my Doctor Who ambience.
So where would you time travel back to?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, do do you know what? My husband and I, Dan, as you know, the lovely Dan,
He's a
we
wonderful
both
man,
agreed
yeah.
that if we could time
Yeah, go
travel,
on.
we would travel back in time and see Huey Lewis and the News in concert.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably what we'd do.
Why Huey Lewis and the News? I
'Cause
mean,
it's like we actually got together because part of why we got together is because we both love Huey Lewis and the
Okay.
News. And it actually was, we played it as the music we came out to in our wedding, The Power of Love.
I was
from
going to say that
Back
is
to
the power of
Future.
love, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant job. Right, superpower, Amelie.
Definitely to control times, like to stop it, fast forward, go
Oh.
back.
It's a bit like the TV.
Yeah.
Not that you watch TV, because you'll no doubt be a person on tablet or whatever. But yeah, so you control time. That's a great
Yeah.
one. Nobody's ever done that one before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good indeed. Right, Amelie, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl.
Night
Definitely. Definitely.
So you're not a morning person then?
Not at all.
So what is your normal time for getting up then, Amelie?
Well,
Your mum is taking deep breaths here,
When
just
your
to let you
mum
know.
makes you.
Okay.
if it isn't a school time,
Yeah.
if it's school day, then usually I'd say about like 10, unless I have to get up to do something important. Like,
Right.
I wouldn't get up. I wouldn't get up until about 10.
And you'd
I'd say
stay in bed all
morning.
day if you could?
Yes.
Okay,
Definitely.
so then what is your nighttime sleeping time if you had the choice?
Well, to be honest, if I had the choice, I'd probably sleep in the day and like be awake at night. Like,
Do you know what you're definitely going to be a musician, because musicians work late at night, and that's obviously where you've come into it. So do you know it might be that she's gone around with you for many, many years, no doubt.
It's possible.
and
Because I'm the
therefore-
same.
You're the same.
Yeah.
So you're
Exactly
a night
the
owl.
same. They say it runs from mother to daughter,
Does
but
it?
need a good hour and a strong coffee to wake myself up in the morning. But give me sort of any time from 9 o'clock onwards, and I'm kind of full of it.
You're all good to go.
Yeah.
Right, Amelie, this next one here might surprise your mum with the answer, but we'll find out. Would you ever skydive, Amelie?
well, that's an interesting question.
I know.
I would. I don't have like a fear of heights, so I would try it. Definitely.
You'd give it a go. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like it or not, but I'd try it.
Well, as long as you're strapped to somebody, I'm sure you'd be okay. What about yourself, Sarah?
Definitely not. I'm risk averse.
Risk averse. I'm meant to be doing it for part of my 50th birthday celebrations. I've said I'll do it for charity. I've had to get medically cleared because I had a bad back many, many years ago, and I haven't quite got round to making the appointment to make the.
Obviously.
For some reason, I just haven't quite got there yet. But I will do it by the time I'm ended 50
Of course
at
you
least.
will,
Yeah,
Richard.
that's my plan. Right, this next question will amend it for both of you, okay? But Sarah, first of all, for yourself, what was your dream job as a child?
Well, either being on Doctor Who as an actress. This is, we're talking 6
Right.
years old. Or a musician, obviously.
So you've got to at least do half of it.
I've been on Doctor Who.
Oh, you've been on Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Remind me about that then.
Well, so I was also a supporting artist alongside being, it's a posh word for extra, but you're supposed to call it supporting artist.
Yeah.
And in the couple of years I did it, I had a great time. I had some good roles. I
Did
was
you?
on Broadchurch 3. I was a WPC, one of the 2.
Right.
I got to meet David Tennant and Olivia Colman and
how
Lenny
were they?
Henry. They're great. Lovely, lovely people. But as part of that, I got contacted by my agency and said, would you like to be on Doctor Who? Of course, the answer is always yes.
I think we've discussed that.
Yes. And then they said, we're sending you a script. I was like, whoa, this is more of my dreams coming true.
Yeah.
And so in the end, I ended up going to the Doctor Who studios in Cardiff, and then they took us out to RAF St Athens, and I was one of the main characters. I was the main character, actually. It sounds a lot posher, that it's quite a small scene, but basically I was in control. I was the head of a bomber plane, and I had killer monks next to me, and I had to be killed by killer monks. I'm in the trailer and the programme.
So which season or series of Doctor Who would this be? The reason I'm asking this is Becky Lawrence, who is one of the Live Lounge guests I've had, who's a good friend of mine. She is a massive Doctor Who fan. So therefore, she would know who you are regarding that.
Right. Well, you can see me in the trailer most of all because I'm kind of looking to the side like this with my helmet on, and then I get killed by killer monks. So you can actually clearly see me.
Okay.
It was Peter Capaldi was my Doctor Who.
Right.
And the episode was the Pyramid at the End of the World, I think it's called.
Pyramid at the End of the World.
Yes.
I will make a note of that. Fantastic. So you got to do both of your dream jobs. So changing the question ever so slightly for you, Amelie, what is your dream job?
Well, that has changed over the years, but right now, I would either like to be a psychologist, or I'd like to be a performer in the West End.
Oh, both very similar roles.
I was going to say. There's probably a link there somewhere.
There probably is a link there. Well, you have to work incredibly hard to get both of those right.
Yeah.
Being psychology is a fascinating subject. I've studied it for over 20 years, and it definitely helps massively. If I had a choice of being a West End star, though, I'd probably choose that. It's incredible hard work, but it would be a lot of fun, I'm sure. Right, last question then, okay? Thank you for coming in today. I'm going to ask yourself again this, Sarah, just to give Amelie a bit of time to think about this, okay? What is your favourite memory? It's a tricky one, I know.
No, actually, it's not.
Go on then.
And I know Dan appreciate this.
I knew Dan was coming back.
I think it was walking out of the church to Huey Lewis and the News Power of Love, because the fun thing was that we had that as the music coming out from our wedding, and the vicar liked it so much she said, can we all go around again, or everybody go around the church, because it was so much fun.
Brilliant.
And it was a wonderful memory.
Oh,
that and playing to 20,000 people.
Both pretty good. Sounds good. Amelie, in your young life you've had so far, what about you?
Well, for me, sometimes I do dance shows because I have a dance class that I do. So I do dance shows every few years. But my favourite memory is just being on the stage and just lights, the people in the audience. It's just wonderful. I love that.
Oh, that sounds so good, doesn't it? She's following in your footsteps, Sarah. Thank you so much for coming in today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us.
you.
It's been fascinating. Loved all the music. There's only one song we can leave with. You know what that song's going to be, don't you? It's going to be The Power of Love, of course.
Oh,
Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love.
Our
We're going to
song.
end up with that. Thank you,
Lovely.
Sarah. And we'll see you again soon.